Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I am so excited to announce a new series that I'm starting, which is infamous serial killers from each state. So I am doing this on my TikTok as well. However, on TikTok they're just overview videos, so if you want to watch there, you can watch those as well. But on here we're gonna go more in depth of each serial killer. So of course we're gonna start with Alabama and end with Wyoming, so we're going in order. We are starting with Alabama, and this serial killer is a woman and her name is Nannie Doss. She's also known as the Giggling Grandma, and we'll go into detail as to why. Nannie Doss was originally from Oklahoma, and she seemed like a nice, friendly neighbor, wife, and friend to everybody that knew her. However, what they didn't know what was going on inside, and she was a cold-blooded killer. She poisoned her family to get insurance money, and it wasn't just one or two family members. It was 8 to 11. So she was born in 1905, and growing up, she didn't have the best childhood. I feel like that's in most cases for most serial killers. So before she even reached her teens, she was being molested by multiple men. At the age of 16, she married a man named Charles Braggs, and they had 4 children together. 2 of the children ended up dying just months apart from one another, and her husband Charles was baffled. He didn't know what was going on, and Nannie didn't even have an explanation for him. She didn't know what was going on either, apparently. They ended up getting a small amount of insurance money for both children's passings, and Charles began getting kind of suspicious of his wife, Nannie. So one day, Charles ended up taking their oldest daughter and leaving, and Nannie had the other child. She ended up packing her bags and moving. They ended up moving to Georgia, where Nannie ended up meeting a man named Frank Harrelson, and the two ended up getting married. Nannie's daughter that she brought with her was only 2 years old at the time when Nannie and Frank left her home alone, and they just hit the road, basically. A neighbor ended up calling Charles her biological father, and he came and got her. From this point on, Nannie would not see her daughter for 9 years. Eventually, in 1945, that 2-year-old little girl was obviously older. She's been married and has a son of her own. Nannie, and her name was Florine, ended up reconnecting. Florine thought it was a good idea to leave her son in the care of Nannie, which she did, and for 3 days, the little boy was okay. After the 3 days, he ended up dying, and Nannie said it was because he got a hold of rat poison. Just 3 months later, Nannie's husband Frank ended up getting sick and dying, and she collected the insurance money. She ended up buying land and building a house in Jacksonville with the insurance money that she got. And at this point, doctors believed when she told them that it was an accident. So she kept telling doctors it was an accident, she didn't know what happened. Many people were dying due to poisoning, and it was just all an accident, and multiple doctors believed her. So starting in the 1950s was when multiple relatives of Nannie's began dying, and the first victim was her third husband, Arlie. A few months later, in 1953, Nannie's mother ended up dying as well. 2 of her sisters ended up dying, and they both lived in different towns, but they died when Nannie was visiting them. They just collapsed and died. And then in 1953, her 4th husband also died. All of these people died from stomach problems and convulsions. In July of 1954, Nannie finally married and met her 5th husband, Samuel Doss. A month after getting married, Samuel died. They ended up doing an autopsy on his body, and they found massive amounts of arsenic in his system. This doctor did not believe anything Nannie was saying, and he found out that multiple people in her family were dying randomly. He ended up deciding to exhume Nannie's other husbands, her children, and other family members, and test them to see if they also had arsenic in their body. And it turns out they did. She ended up confessing to at least 10 murders spanning 3 decades. She was called the Giggling Granny because every time she would tell the story of how she would kill her husbands, she would laugh. She ended up telling people that she didn't kill them for the money. She said the money had no significance in her life. She did say that it was due to marital boredom. She said she was trying to find the perfect mate, like they had written in magazines. That wouldn't explain her killing her children and her other relatives, her sisters, her mother, like, no. She ended up going to trial and was sentenced to life in prison in 1955. She served 10 years and she ended up getting leukemia and dying in 1965. And that is the story of Nannie Doss of Alabama. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so that way you get notified whenever I post a new video. Stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be Alaska. Until next time, bye guys.